Welcome to Tutorial 2, the front-end and back-end database configuration for Microsoft Access. Before using the extension framework, it's important to understand the common file configurations for Microsoft Access databases. The simplest configuration is where the database is a single file. The tables containing all the data, the forms, reports, queries, macros, and code modules are in the file. This is acceptable for a single user scenario where one person is using the database and maintaining it or changing it live as they go. But it can also be used in a multi-user environment. If the file is stored on a network share, then everyone in the organization can open the same file when using the database. However, there are several disadvantages with this multi-user configuration. Once two or more users open the file, the database design becomes locked, and it's very hard to make design changes. Users can also have problems with locking conflicts in forms. Once the database reaches a certain level of complexity, it's a good idea to have a separate development version of the database where changes are made and fully tested before deploying to the live database. With the single file configuration, any external changes must be manually integrated into the live database, one at a time by hand. Or the data tables from the live version may be imported into the new development version and then modified to reflect any new table changes. This is time-consuming and requires a visit to site or a remote session, and the upgrade process cannot easily be automated. The configuration that Microsoft recommends is called split file, where one database, called the backend, holds the tables containing the data for the database, and another database called the front end contains the queries, forms, reports, macros, and code that make up the application and user interface. These are the things that are likely to change as the application is developed. The front end contains links to the back-end data tables. These linked tables make it look to the front end as if the tables are in the front end, even though they are actually stored elsewhere. The big advantage of this configuration is that the front end no longer contains any data, so a separate development copy of the system may be used for development and testing, and then the live front end can be replaced with a newer version without suffering any data loss. It also fits nicely into using SQL Server or another database system as a back-end data store. However, it raises the problem of maintaining links to the back-end if the back-end database is shifted to a different location, or if a front end from a different environment with links to a different back-end is copied over the existing live front end. It is possible for multiple users to all open a single copy of the front end, but in order to avoid locking issues, it's recommended practice for each user to have their own copy of the front-end database. It's also relatively common for an application to have more than one back-end database. In fact, the application may link tables from as many different data sources as it likes, such as multiple access or SQL back-end databases. This may be for historical or practical reasons. For example, if I need to store images for an application, I often create a separate back-end Access database for each major group of images to be stored. This allows Access database file sizes to be kept smaller, given that there is a 1 GB limit on file size. If there are multiple backends, then the framework needs to store its shared configuration information in only a single place. The backend chosen to store the framework tables is called the primary backend. If there is only a single backend, then this is automatically the primary backend. The extension framework offers full support for the split file configuration with tools to maintain links, automatically upgrade the front end to a more recent version, and automatically upgrade the backend data structure known as the schema. It has support for multiple backends in all these features. This allows a developer to easily maintain and access application across multiple locations and clients, each with multiple users, all automatically without needing to visit site or open up a remote login session.